Hey guys, got an exciting bunch of bikes today. We're on the Brea Dam in Fullerton. That's actually Fullerton down there. And then there's La Habra Heights. Got some beautiful vistas in the background. Maybe a little bit windy because again, we're on a dam and the wind is just spilling over. But we're checking out the Haibike series, okay? This is an AllMtn 8.0 in the middle. That's really the focus. That's the one I'm doing all the stats on back at the website, in part because it won like e-bike innovation of the year. Haibike's done really well. They've been recognized for several years in a row now. They're the world's biggest electric mountain bike specific manufacturer that I'm aware of. They're from Germany and they're owned by the Excel Group now. And I have this crazy helmet on because I'm gonna put a camera on and get some fun shots later. So we've also got the 10.0. It's definitely spec'd up a little bit. You spend a little bit more money and you get some nicer components. I'll try to hit those a little bit. And then the 6.0 down here, downgraded a little bit. So you can see Sun Tour suspension fork instead of Fox. It's got a dual piston caliper in the rear for the hydraulic disc brake versus quad piston on both for the other ones. And it also has Shimano Dior. Still has the one-way clutch right here, which is really nice. And they all have the same gear range. So it's 11 to 40 in the cassette. And then we've got 44 tooth large chainring and 32 small. It's really unique to see two chainrings on an electric bike with a mid-drive. Most of them just have a 1x setup, which is kind of nice. It's lightweight. I don't find myself shifting gears as much up front just because, you have a motor. It's like, do you really need that range, especially when you have class 1 20 mile per hour top speed on these bikes? It's not like I'm trying to hit 28 or really even go over 20 unless I'm descending. And you can definitely go way over 20 when you are descending. Imagine, flowing down this backside of the dam here. You could totally do it. These bikes have plus size tires. You just cruise right over these rocks. I was tempted to do it, but I don't want to break any rules. I'm hanging out here with Matt and Steve. These guys are from the Electric Bicycle Center in Fullerton with Sam. So, you guys might have seen Sam on some of the other videos. He's holding the fort down at the shop. And I just wanted to get some perspective from other riders. And both of you guys love to mountain bike. So, it's a real pleasure. In fact, Matt, you have some background in tell us, what do you do?
I BMX race for a few years and I do downhill and I ride the Fullerton loop all around Fullerton a lot.
Sweet. Like non-electric, electric, what do you do?
Non-electric. I can't afford an electric bike.
These are expensive. Speaking of which, $5,000, which to me, it's like, I don't know, this has the Yamaha PW-X motor system, pretty, high capacity battery pack here, 36 volts, 13.4 amp hours. It's the newest, latest generation Fox float air suspension. It's nice stuff, but $5,000 compared to maybe just a regular bike. How much did you spend on your bike? What do you have?
I got mine on a deal for $250.
Whoa, buddy, we got to talk after this. That's fantastic. There is a big difference. What does it feel like to ride this compared to your regular, non-electric bike?
I really feel like I can go a lot further, and it really empowers me to go ride for the whole day. I remember when I was younger, 10 years old, 12 years old, I would spend all day out riding. Now I get a little tired after a few hours.
Sure.
But this, I feel like I can go forever.
Okay.
Or at least until the battery runs out.
Well, descending and handling, I know these are heavier, right? We're looking at 52.5 pounds for the 8.0. It comes in 4 different sizes, so that weight may vary just a little bit, but your bike's probably 30 pounds or?
Somewhere around there. One nice thing, the extra weight keeps you planted, but it does make it a little harder to go off a jump and get air.
Oh, like bunny hop, lifting the frame is more difficult. I relate to that for sure. And then, Steve, I don't know if you can relate to knee sensitivity, but I have some knee damage, and I found that when I try to go longer distance on a non-electric bike, my knees start to get a little bit sensitive.
And that's my problem too. I'll be 64 this year and my knees are pretty well shot, and if it wasn't for an electric bike, I couldn't go out and ride. I try to ride at least 5 days a week now. I keep up with the big boys and the younger guys like this over here.
Yeah.
It's a game changer for me. I lost a considerable amount of weight when I first started riding. I can't see not riding any less than 4 days a week anymore.
Wow.
It's just a total habit now that I absolutely love.
Thank you. Well, thank you both. And we're gonna go riding, so you'll be on camera a little bit more, but I want to give this a thorough review. So I'm gonna jump back in, try to point out all the different specs, and of course, I welcome your comments and feedback and corrections, because as much as I love mountain biking, some of this stuff is pretty high end and it might be a little bit beyond me. at times. So one of the things I really like about the PW-X motor is that it has more like fingers, like splines inside, so it catches really quickly. And I think they're using like a hollow axle, so it's actually pretty lightweight, 6.8 pounds on that. The battery is 6.6 pounds compared to the Bosch CX. That motor is 8.8 pounds, and then it's like 5.8 pounds on their battery. So it's actually kind of similar. You know, this is a heavier pack, lighter motor, and then the Bosch is reversed. Bosch, I used to say, oh, it goes up to 120 RPM, so you could pedal at a higher rate and without having to switch gears. And that's nice to do when you're coming from like a descent and then you're starting to climb. I'm like, ting, 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 I'm switching gears down and I'm trying to keep my speed by pedaling faster. Now the Yamaha motor can keep up with you. Okay, so the PW-X, it offers up to 80 Newton meters of torque, 120 RPM. It does fade a little bit towards 120. I still think Bosch has a higher Cadence Support. 175 millimeter crank arms. I love that they've got this plastic shield, kind of a bash guard. The motor has, it's narrower, right? Like the Q factor is more traditional, which is really great. I love the Haibike pedals. I don't know really who makes these, but they've got those fixed pins. They're really big and wide and stiff, so you get excellent power transfer. And that's important when you're mountain biking and the terrain gets a little bit precarious. I believe it's kind of like Horse Link 4-bar suspension in the rear, Fox Float DPS dual piston, and then it's the Evo, so extra volume, which is nice. We've got a compression clicker and rebound on that. Same with the front, okay? So air, you can sag it to your body weight, compression, take it almost to lockout. There's still a little bit of movement, but down here there's rebound, kind of everything you'd expect from a higher end fork. And 34, that means like 34 millimeter stanchions, and these ones are black anodized. Versus, you know, if we come over here to the 10.0, we've got the Camo Coating, which is supposed to be even harder and just create that nice smooth action going back and forth, especially when you're braking and maybe you're hitting bumps. You want that to be able to slide and not get a lot of friction when it's going in and out. I really like the setup here with the 15 millimeter through axle. You can see that you can actually dial this in so that the quick release lever is pointed to the up position. And then all of these have the 27.5 by 2.8, so plus size tires. This one has the Maxxis Minion DHF. That's a new one to me. I haven't actually ridden it a whole lot. Huge knobs. It looks very comparable to the Schwalbe Magic Marys over here. I'm a little bit more familiar with Schwalbe. They have this new Addix rubber. It's supposed to be like soft and really grippy. And then we've got Evo Evolution, APX reinforced. So that might be just puncture protection or something. And then TLA, it's like tubeless-ready, snake skin, lightweight, durable. It's a pretty good setup, and these tires feel really nice. They have good air volume, so you get some cushion, you get great traction, and then some deflection. If you're going over rocks, you can just ride right over them. So a lot of electric mountain bikes have been going to the plus size tires, and it makes the bike look beefier, which sort of complements the battery integration right there, standing out on the frame, and then the motor. Everything just sort of looks bigger. They've got a little stanchion guard, plastic right there. I love that. Haibike, they really put a lot of attention into the details. And you can even see the internal routing on a lot of these cables. They have a bigger grommet, so they're easier to service, but they still look clean, kind of tucked out of the way. And just the styling. So this is all hydroformed tubing, and then it's a gravity cast interface where the motor's mounted, and it just sort of flows into the frame. Pretty colors here too. It's sort of this soft green and silver with some orange highlights. It's definitely sporty. This one has a Selle Royale saddle. Normally I really like Selle Royale, but this Verve, I don't like it very much. It's sort of like convex on top, and I just feel like it's pushing out on my seat bones, and not my favorite. Relatively short, flat stem. We've got some spacers here so you can raise or lower and get more or less aggressive. Locking grips, body optimized. I'm not really sure, you know, who makes those. A lot of this stuff is Haibike branded, so it's like 780 millimeter aluminum alloy. The Haibike plus bar, you know, whatever. I do like the seat post dropper XLC. I think there's 120 millimeters of travel, and it's not like they're set points. It's like you can stop it anywhere you want. 31.6 millimeters there on the seat post itself. We work our way up front. You can see the Magura MT5, 2-finger levers with adjustable reach. Just excellent. These are great. They give you plenty of stopping power, especially with the bigger 203 millimeter rotor up front, and then those quad piston calipers that I was talking about. Just beautiful. And then in the rear, 180 quad piston. Again, when we hop up to the 10.0, you still have quad piston, but these are the MT7 super lightweight levers, and they have the tool-free adjustable reach, so you don't have to get an Allen key out. And then look at that, they got the nice bright yellow highlights going on. It reminds me of like a Porsche or a supercar or something where they they kind of add some color, maybe a Tesla, and you get the brake rotors in different colors, the calipers in there. And then this one has a remote reservoir, so maybe it's a little bit easier to sag and adjust. It's got a compression clicker again. It sort of seems like it just has a couple of positions, but maybe by having an external reservoir, if this is going through a lot of action and is starting to heat up, there's more volume, so it might stay cooler. And I like the derailleurs. These all have this like side mounted front derailleur that just really, it just seems really clean, and it might even act as a chain guide. So even if you aren't shifting a whole lot on the front chain rings, that chain isn't going to drop. And then back here we've got that really long, really burly slap guard, so you're not going to be chipping up the paint or anything like that. And then again, in the back, the one-way clutch. If you put that in the down position, it's going to make it a little bit easier to service the rear wheel, which also has quick release. It's boost 148 millimeters, 12 millimeter through axle, and again, boost in the front. This is 110 millimeter hub spacing, gives you a little bit of a stronger bracing angle. It supports those larger tires. Tapered head tube, you know, and yeah, coming back, I like the Pro Logo saddle a little bit better. It just felt better to me personally. Saddles are cheap. I don't know if it's worth upgrading an entire bike. I think for me, the choice might come down to color and then size availability. In the past, Haibike introduces all these different models, and sometimes it's overwhelming because it's like, well, you dial in, you think like, that's the one I want, and then it's out of stock in your size. So you're like, well, whatever, I'll get this one. Still a very good bike. Again, SR Sun Tour stanchions here, also black anodized. So anodized meaning these are aluminum, and then they put a coating on it to make it a little bit harder and to help it slide a little bit smoother. But the same, you know, same great, like larger hydraulic brake rotors. These pedals are a little bit smaller, maybe downgraded a little bit, and then Shimano Dior versus SLX, and that's front and rear. Still has the seat post dropper, has another saddle here, the Verve, the one that I don't love as much. You know, and then the cockpits, they're all relatively similar. So I don't know, it's a nice color too. We've got the sparkly white and then the dark gray and red. Yeah, for me, I don't know, sometimes I fall in love with a bike because of the colors. One thing I do not love about all of the Yamaha powered electric bikes is this huge charger, okay? It's like 2.2 pounds. It does put out 4 amps, which is nice, so you can charge more quickly, but you can't remove the wall side, so it sticks out even more. And then on this end, you've got this plastic plug piece. Just seems really delicate and kind of hard, like it could get stepped on and broken. And even worse, let's pretend that you've got the battery plugged in on the bike, right? Like you roll this into your garage, up next to your workbench, you plug it in right there. It's not nearly as like strong feeling as like Bosch or a Shimano, a lot of the other brands. This is like my least favorite. The rubber cap seats nicely, but it just feels like, you know, and then look at this, like the pedal, if we move this crank arm, there we go. Oh, like right there, it goes right next to where you plug the battery in, and you don't want to shear that thing off or just tip the bike and snag it. There's just a lot of room for improvement there. Thankfully, you can take the battery off if you want to, and these batteries work pretty well. They've got a little lever loop at the top, so you can carry them around pretty safely. They slide out from the side, which allows Haibike to make this even steeper top tube and lowers the standover height. I have measured the standover height, the length, the width, everything. I've gone into just minute detail on the review for this bike to help you out, so you can kind of dial this in and get a sense for what the bike's going to feel like. I am on the large bike right there, so that's my feedback. Okay, and then the last step is to turn this thing on. I like the positioning of the display, so it's not like way up high and big and delicate. Potentially, if you fall down, it's tucked in, so it stays out of the way, and it still has a little micro USB port in the bottom. So if you're running with like a Garmin, or maybe you put your phone or a light or something, you can tap into the power, and they can also use that for diagnostics. So to power it up, you press this little power button. It says welcome, and then let's see, at the top there's 10 bars, so 10% increments on the battery infographic, speed in miles per hour, and then down at the bottom it says odometer right now, but if we press this select button, it cycles through. So it says trip meter, 4.5 miles, average speed 10.3 miles per hour. That's what's interesting. We're like at 18 or 19 on the roads, and then you really slow down when you start to climb, just because, you know, that's what the terrain demands. Max speed 22.5 miles per hour. Okay. Distance, this one's really cool. You can leave it here and then press the up or down arrows, and as we do so, it's going to give us a range estimate. So 116 mile estimate with plus eco, and you'll notice that green light at the top. So what they've been trying to do now, Yamaha and some other companies, is you know, you're focused on the trail, and then out of the peripheral vision, you might see some color. You can't necessarily read the display because it's so small, and it's bright right now. It's kind of glaring, but maybe you can see the color. So Eco and Eco Plus are both green. Eco says 89 miles. Not a lot of assist here, but it's enough to kind of defray the weight of the bike itself, because it does weigh more, 52 pounds. And then up to standard, now we got blue, 58 miles. High, also blue, 48 miles. And then EXPW, that stands for extra power, 42 miles, and then it turns yellow. It's a really neat, it's a neat setup. I actually really like it. The button's fairly easy to reach over here. We got a walk mode as well, but I don't think it works. A lot of these companies have been disabling that for the US, which is such a bummer, because it's like, we have bikes here that have throttles and everything, and so having like a 6 km/h, roughly 4 mile/h walk mode to help you if you get a flat tire, or maybe you're walking up something that's just too difficult to ride, or you just need a break, like, please enable walk mode, big companies. And then we come back here to some of these other menus. So if I hit select again, we have battery percentage. Isn't that awesome? Like, in addition to having 10 little ticks, you have a percentage, just so much more precise, in addition to using that range tool. And then cadence. This is how I've been charting my own cadence. I get up to around 120 and it starts to drop off a little bit. But again, way better than the older PW or the PW SE, which I think only has like 110. I don't know, but it has an app, which I haven't tried yet. Time, 11:02, odometer, trip distance. So we just cycle. And then if you want to mess with some of the settings on this, you hold select for a couple seconds. And now it says, okay, you can go in and do a stopwatch, time adjustment, distance units, so miles per hour, kilometers per hour, display items. You can actually say which items you want to show up when we were pressing select earlier. You can take things off. If you're like, I don't ever care about cadence and I want to stop seeing it, you can do that. Reset, BLE, that's like Bluetooth low energy. So there is like potential for an app in the future. I have not tried that. USB, so you can actually select, is this a charging port or are you doing diagnostics? You can tell the system what you're using USB for. LED, so you can actually turn that off if that bothers you at night. And then exit. So we're gonna exit, and I'm just gonna hop on this thing and do just a little ride holding the camera and give you some feedback about the motor. And I think I'm gonna put it in, let's see, I wanna see my cadence. There we go, cadence. Let's see, and I am in the highest level of assist right now. There we go. I got up to like 115 RPM there, and it just kind of started to fade on me. So I'm gonna shift some gears here, take it down. You might hear it a little bit more. It's more pronounced at higher cadence. Okay, now I'm up to like 138, so I'm way above the supported cadence. And I can pedal that way because I'm on flats. But with the weight of the bike, if I was trying to ascend a hill, it would be a bit of a struggle. So I'm just so thankful that more and more companies are giving you higher cadence support. It's one of the big draws for this system to me, and the zero cadence support, which means the motor's supposed to start like immediately. It doesn't delay. But to be honest with you, most of the major motor manufacturers, they start very quickly. Try to demonstrate that. Yep, works pretty well. And then with those big tires in the front, super stable. So the bike just tracks perfectly. A little bit of buzzing on pavement, of course, but nothing out of the ordinary. And then you'll notice as I'm shifting gears there, the speed really picks up because the motor has a lot of power to offer, and maybe it's just at those lower cadences, it's extra strong. So it feels like shifting gears on a manual transmission car. Pretty quickly, we're up to 20 miles per hour, and then it just sort of fades out. Sweet. I think maybe it's time to go for a ride with these guys and explore some single track around here. You guys ready to go for a ride?
Let's go.
Sweet. So Matt's got like a trail he's gonna take us on. Will you kind of point things out for us?
Yeah, so we're gonna go back over that way and come down, and there's a little bit of single track we can go through over here.
Sweet.
And then turn back around, come back up the hill, and there's a nice descent.
Okay. Sweet, yeah, we got a little bit of everything. Well, lead on. Yeah, I'll follow you. I'm probably gonna do this in the high power mode. You know, it feels pretty good. It's like we're definitely using some of the battery here, but it's nice to have that power when we're gonna be transitioning, following our sporty friend. There we go. You all set, Steve? Sweet. Nice. Oh yeah. Getting some decent air here. Okay, we got our front fork here. This is Fox 34 Float Performance. There's our compression adjust, black anodized stanchion, 115 millimeters of travel. So just thought this would be a cool angle. You can check it out while we're riding. Definitely hear those knobs on the pavement. Lock it out and climb. So I'm reducing that bob and the dive. Yeah, nice. It's one of the areas where, you know, if you go with the 10.0, it's got this larger compression clicker and it has a smaller one inside that I think is, it's just a little bit more dialed in and more of a climb trail descent, whereas this one has like multiple clicker points. Hey guys, I got you hooked up to the AMT 10.0. So this is the higher level bike, but they all have the same Yamaha PW-X motor. It offers up to 80 Newton meters of torque. There's no shift detection like Bosch, but because it's measuring your rear wheel speed, pedal cadence, pedal torque, it's pretty dynamic. If you just ease off a little bit while you're shifting, you won't mash. Again, 2 chain rings up front, 44 tooth, 32 tooth, and then in the rear, 11 to 40. So you've got plenty of range here. I usually don't mess with the front, you know, I'm not used to it. I ride a lot of 1x systems for e-bikes, so having 2 chain rings is pretty unique, and that's something that I really only see on the Yamaha drive system. In the back, we've got XDURO XT. We got the one-way clutch, so I have that on to keep the chain a little bit tighter. And then up front, we have SLX. That's the same for the AMT 8.0, but the 6.0, it just has Shimano Dior, and it still has the one-way clutch. So that's pretty nice. And again, same chain ring, same cluster setup. I'm gonna be in EXPW, which means extra power mode. Sorry about that, kicked the camera first thing. I was following some friends. One kind of got into some ruts, Steve, and had to pull over. I was able to maintain power and control during that ascent, which is really good because it was pretty steep and there was some soft stuff, but the bigger plus size tires and these gigantic knobs, they held strong, so it was a good setup. Nice. No problem. Sweet. Okay, we're on a pretty big incline right now. I'm gonna try to start from standstill. I'm certain we're gonna get good power. Again, 80 Newton meters of torque. From here you can see the chainring starting and stopping, and just listen for how responsive this is. I do feel that it's one of the more responsive systems. We'll see what we can do. Very nice. You know, when you're climbing, at some point it's more about keeping that front wheel down and maintaining traction stability. So I have the seat raised pretty high so I can get full leg extension. I got enough power to start from standstill. It felt great. And then at a higher RPM, the PW-X motor does support up to around 120. It feels like it fades a little bit sooner than Brose S and the Bosch Performance Line CX. But it's way better than the older PW. It's definitely getting the job done out here. Nice. I think Matt's gonna... There we go, Steve's going for the big climb. Way down in the low gear. Oh, close. You all right?
Almost.
Almost. It was a good attempt. Okay, I gotta try this too. You gonna do it? Okay, heads up, Steve. Good luck. I think these guys are in the 44 tooth front ring. Woo! Oh! Oh, nice. The motor isn't failing. I think it's literally just too steep. Hey, yeah, sure. Pardon us, just having fun.
Do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, go for it, Matt. Nice attempt, Steve. I know. This is when you really need walk mode, Yamaha. Come on. You got the button and everything. It's crazy. Laws. We really need to open this up a little bit. Like, walk mode would not be wrecking the trail here. It's not. No one's gonna ride around at 4 miles per hour with walk mode. Yeah, and he's trying to push that 50+ pound bike right now. He's losing traction on his feet. It'd be nice if the bike was helping him. Yeah, it's a shame. Companies that do have walk mode enabled, Bosch, unless you get a Trek. A little out of breath?
That's like 45 degrees.
It was a good attempt. Did the motor quit, or were you just...
A little bit of both, yeah.
A little bit of both, yeah. It gets
mostly me.
Gets pretty steep. Well, it's gonna be cool to see Matt drop this. Yep. There we go. Whoa. He's catching some air. That is awesome. Okay, I want to try this too. I'm gonna try this. Be one of the three musketeers. I'm gonna take my front ring all the way to that super low gear, okay? I think that's part of the secret here. Wish me luck, Steve. Taking my dropper way up high. Okay. Oh yeah. We lost traction on the front wheel, couldn't steer. That's the big problem. Oh man, so close. Halfway. Maybe if you had some speed going into it. And then we can walk the bike down with the brakes. Awesome. Okay, Matt, you had, you're just gonna take us back. We'll go over the bridge again carefully and...
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll hit the one without the bridge.
Sounds good. There's the dam. No problem. There's definitely like a speed dependency on what gear you're in. So I'm in EXPW mode. I shift gears. My cadence slows, but the bike climbs a lot faster. It's got a lot of power. It's like 250 to 500 watt. Woo! Beautiful, man. That's awesome. Whew. Thank you both so much. This was a lot of fun. Usually I'm just out here for 15-20 minutes doing a ride, but this little loop was a blast. We all made it.
Yeah.
We pushed the bikes to the extreme in terms of climbing. Guys, I think that's about it. I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com for all the measurements. Again, I'm only covering the 8.0 right now because there are so many SKUs with Haibike. But you know, there's the forums, there's the comment section. Sound off, correct me if I'm wrong, add to the discussion. Have fun out there, be respectful, ride safe.
Right.
Use that dropper here. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh boy. Okay, I'm gonna walk this pothole here. Oh yeah. You doing okay?
Yeah, fine.
Awesome. It's really cool to use the brakes as like a kind of a stabilizer.
What's that?
Going down, you know, like just relying on the brakes. It's like the reverse of walk mode.
It's easier going down on the brakes than
Yeah.
walking it, yeah.
Right? Okay, here we go.
If I wouldn't have pulled on the brakes, I think I could have made it down there.
Oh man, hitting that with some speed, get a little gap action. Okay, the sidewalks worked okay. Oh yeah.
And then we can go pretty much the same way, I think, is the safest way.
Okay.
There aren't really any other bike lanes other than that.